forum for about 15 minutes or so. So anyone who has something to say in terms of human rights and in terms of how that impacts our community, you can have the mic. And let's keep it, since we only have about 15 minutes and it's getting cold, let's keep it short and sweet, maybe up to a minute or so. So, Deb.
Hi everyone, it's great to see all of you out here in the cold, standing around, paying attention to really fundamental, important things of our life on Earth. I'm going to read really quickly about Bradley Manning. I'm going to read an article I just submitted to the Ashland Free Press. What information could be so powerful to warrant 23-year-old Bradley Manning's 1.5-year pre-trial imprisonment by the U.S. military? Manning allowed his conscience to respond to what he discovered in his work as a U.S. Army intelligence analyst. This quote is attributed to Manning. Hypothetical question: if you had free reign over classified networks for long periods of time, say 8 or 9 months, and you saw incredible things, awful things, things that belonged in the public domain, and not on some server stored in a dark room from 2004 to 2009 in Washington, D.C., what would you do? Things that would have an impact on 6.7 billion people, say, a database of 500,000 events during the Iraq War from 2004 to 2009, with reports, date, time groups, and casualty figures, or 260,000 State Department cables from embassies and consulates all over the world explaining how the First World exploits the Third in detail from an internal perspective. The immense trove of information Manning and Julian Assange, with the help of several other volunteers and journalists, made available to the public through WikiLeaks' website, takes a great deal of time and composure to digest. Following is just a small sampling of key facts summarized on the website, bradleymanning.org. The Iraq war logs reveal that between 2004 and 2009, the U.S. government counted a total of 109,000 deaths in Iraq, 66,000 classified as non-combatants, though the Bush and Obama administrations claimed there was no body count. And they also reveal that there is an official policy to ignore torture in Iraq. Leaked diplomatic cables show that the U.S. government had long been faking its public support for the corrupt Tunisian President Ben Ali. When the Tunisians realized that the U.S. would not actually support the Ali regime, in the event of a popular uprising, the people collectively dislodged the autocratic ruling family from power, and then followed the Arab Spring. So, since I need to wrap up. On January 2 in Washington, D.C., I will join several others in a 10-day fast in support of Bradley Manning and other prisoners held by the U.S. military without due process of law. My conscience has asked me to do this in response to the courage shown by Manning, Assange, and others speaking out against injustice. I close with a quote from Solzhenitsyn, a hero of Assange. He says, "A decline in courage may be the most striking feature that an outside observer notices in the West today. The Western world has lost its civic courage." Assange would often pronounce to those around him, "Courage is infectious." What is your courageous conscience asking you to do? One thing you can do is come to a vigil that will be here on the 16th, this coming Friday, to honor Bradley because his pre-trial hearing starts on that day in Fort Meade. And there will be vigils held all over the world. It's here at 4:30, from 4:30 to 6 on Friday the 16th. Bradley's birthday will be the next day. You can come sing happy birthday.
Yeah.
It was on the schedule also today for Joyce Segers to speak, so I'm going to give her a couple extra minutes. Joyce ran for U.S. House of Representatives 2 or 3 years ago, and she's running again. Joyce, if you'd like to say a few words.
Hi. I came here today to speak about Citizens United and the fact that the Supreme Court decision that said that corporations are humans have no idea what they're talking about. listening to Carol speak, having been in Puerto Rico at a peace conference and meeting a young woman who had been imprisoned in Guatemala for 5 years, who lived sheerly by writing on toilet paper words of love to her prisoners, who eventually, after year and year and year going past of no love, nothing humane about it, they released her because of the love that she showed these people. That to me is what a human being is about. And we have an election coming up, and a lot of people have felt that our president has somehow betrayed us. But he is still there, and he is somebody I still believe in, and I back up, because we have to move forward. And with the love that Carol was brave enough to speak about, who we really are, what this about, what this is about, what this election is about, why I'm doing it, has completely to do with what Carol spoke of. It's about love, it's about humanity, it's about compassion. The system works. It's been corrupted. And we are the only ones who can fix it by our bravery, standing up for what we believe in, for what we know is right, for helping each other. That's been given up. I grew up in a time where a neighbor was in trouble. We walked over there and we helped them. And I grew up in New York City, where a lot of people think there is no humanity. Trust me, there's a lot of humanity in that place. So if it can exist there, it can exist anywhere. And here in Ashland, I know many people have pulled away from the politics. But once again, the comment that politics is about love. And that was what this country was based on. I ask you all to please get involved, and don't forget who you are. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. Tyler is going to speak next, and then Evan.
Hello, everybody. My name's Tyler, and I'm the artist who did some of these all of these prints up here. And I didn't just randomly choose images, but I chose the one on the left it's an ode to Guernica, and we all remember what happened at Guernica, right? It was a horrible bombing by the Nazis in the 1930s to test out their new machines of war, new weapons of truly of mass destruction. And they rained death down on a helpless people. And in the picture, if you look to the top of it, there's 3 helicopters. And obviously those were not around during the Guernica period, so where do they come from? Well, they came from a plant called Boeing, and they were shipped to a place in Southeast Asia during the late 1960s and 70s. And there was another Guernica-type incident there where the place was bombed to smithereens, leaving the land in wreck and ruin. Today's International Human Rights Day, which means that we all have the same need to be free of violence and free from oppressive governments. And where you see an oppressive government, you should take a stand against it. You know, to talk history to an older crowd it's a little backwards because I'm younger. But I can play a small children's game and do a real generational flip and connect the dots. This dot connects to that dot, connects to this dot, and they form a picture. All right? Now, you can see the literal picture that I drew, and there's also a metaphorical picture. And it comes back to the same source, and in my opinion, and I think a few others here would agree that it's imperialism. It's the United States government, and it's been doing its thing for a very long time now. And Vietnam was bad, and if you thought Vietnam was bad, try Predator drones, try nuclear weapons, try used up uranium. All this stuff is currently happening in the Middle East. And so if we want to make an ode to human rights, let's stop the violence and stop wars and bring the troops home.
And needs no introduction, Evan Lasley.
Again. So I just wanted to make a quick announcement for, we have Wednesday, December 14th, so coming up here, from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. At the Unitarian Church. We have the Vermont Workers Center being brought here by Southern Oregon Jobs with Justice to make a presentation about how we won healthcare for all is the title. And so it's really focusing on the idea that healthcare is a human right, and that's something which we in Oregon care a lot about, and so they want to talk to us some about how we can keep working towards that here in our state and hear how they had their successes. And so that was one thing. I also wanted to just say that for me, when reading the Declaration, two things really come up for me as striking out as really important in America right now, those being housing and work. I think what you see as poverty increases and millions of people are kicked out of their homes, that it becomes an imperative that we understand we don't simply leave these buildings empty and owned by these corporate entities, but that we put them back to use for people to sleep in, to stay warm over the winter, and we respect them in that way. That's instead of leaving them out in the cold, with these laws on the books as we have in Ashland, which say that, you don't have a right to sleep in a public space. And that's really inhumane, and that's really against everything that's being said in this document and everything of why we're here today. So.
Anyone else?
I want to just sort of stress one key issue that doesn't come right out of the Universal Declaration, and that is human rights are indivisible and interdependent. You can't just pick and choose one or the other. I like this one, but not that one. It's one whole package that depend on each other to really ensure that all people can live with dignity.
Feel free to come up. This is your opportunity. Let your voice be heard. Thank you.
My name is Jerry Nutter, and I'd like to speak for a second about patriotism, because this is the most patriotic movement that I've seen since World War II. And that's why I'm wearing an armband that is red, white, and blue, and on it says 99. I think you know what that means. That's us. And what I'd like to see is everybody wearing something that takes the colors back, demonstrates that they're still alive for all of us, and that this movement is its heartbeat. And so I want to see everybody bristling with buttons and any other thing, neckerchiefs, anything that's red, white, and blue, because it needs to say to the world, this means Occupy Wall Street, this means we are the 99%. And so these are available for a $1 donation, because that's what I paid for them. Thank you.
I would just like to say a few things going off of what Carol said and what a lot of people have said here, is that it is important to protest, but there is a certain impotence to protesting. What matters at a protest is not what happens here today, but what happens tomorrow. If anybody here thinks that by being here they've done enough, you're wrong. You haven't done enough. What is important is that we take this up not as something we come to, we show our support, we do our little protest, and then go home, but take this as an impetus to try to start recreating the struggle towards these human rights in every point of our life. I think that's the most important thing, is that we begin converting every moment we live, whether or not it's out on a protest, or at work, or at school, or even at home over the dinner table, but take every moment and turn it into a part of that battle, that larger war, a battle in that war to create a better world, to direct ourselves towards actual universal human rights. So I appeal to everybody who is here, when you wake up tomorrow, let the first thought be, what can I do to make this world better? What can I do? What fight can I take up to improve the world I live in? So join working groups, join any group you can think of or create your own. Just do something. Thank you.
Thank you, Emery. Yes, this is part of what democracy looks like. We're gathered together, and we need to keep doing that regularly. But democracy also means occupying our time with our community, with our thoughts, with our hearts, with our minds. Always have our community and ourselves, and striking that balance in mind. You have to be active. As I said earlier, Thomas Jefferson's quote, "The price of freedom is eternal vigilance." So this is what democracy looks like. The system that's in place, that's crumbling, is what tyranny looks like, and it's what democracy looks like when democracy goes to sleep. But now we're awake. Yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Mike Myshak, and I'm really excited about the red, white, and blue. You know, I'm a vet, and I think that what we're talking about here is not that we don't want any government, but we want better government now, and the quickest way to get it is to make the system work for us, whatever that is. There's many ways. I had a talk with Mr. Buckley, and some ideas got exchanged, and it's about America. It's about being here and making this the place that we thought it was when we were growing up, and it can still be that. You know, we fell asleep, no question about it. We've let things get away, but letting the rest of the country know that we are the patriots, and we do support the red, white, and blue. And I think it's important that we let them know that we're not bands of chaotic protesters, that we are relevant. A lot of us, as I look around, there's a lot of gray heads and gray beards out here, and I think another challenge for all of us, particularly, is that there's 10,000 graybeards coming out of the workforce every day. What a potent political movement that could be, and I think that that's something we should look for. The energy of the youth and the wisdom of the old, and we can really make things. We can make things happen. I'm really excited about this. I'm looking forward to making this happen. And when I first got to Ashland, somebody had there was a group of homeless here in the square, and somebody had a sign up that said, "Homeless are human." And well, my heart went out, and I sought him out. We must have talked for 2 hours, and I said, "Tell me about your humanity. Tell me about who you are, about what you're doing." And we just had a long conversation. And you know what? We talk about human rights. Why isn't there a place here in Ashland to support the human rights of the homeless? And this is important. This is a challenge for the city of Ashland. We need a place. We need a facility. We need a drop-in center. We need something that will let the homeless realize their dignity, because for whatever reason they are where they are, whether it's by choice or by circumstance, given an opportunity, we all rise, and they'll rise too. And I honor all the homeless, and I honor all of us for being here, and thank you all. Yeah.
Okay, Linda Sturgeon, I wanted to say a couple words about the great work that she has done on her website. I don't even know how many hours, but our website is occupyashlandoregon.org, and Linda would like to say a couple things.
Hi, I wanted to encourage all of you to be the media. I would encourage you to put signs out in front of your houses. And I would encourage you to make makeshift things and put them on your bodies and walk into the supermarkets. And I would encourage you at family dinners to talk about, let's say, how about Oh, the $16 trillion. $16 trillion that has just been revealed by an audit of the federal, help me here. Reserve. Thank you, Reserve. I'm a little tired. I work on that website a lot. The Federal Reserve gave to banks, not only banks here, but banks, foreign banks at 0% interest. 16 trillion done in secret. They've just revealed it. The only reason this has come out is because of the hard work of Ron Paul together with Alan Grayson. And they tacked on to the Dodd-Frank bill to do an audit. They didn't get the full thing. They watered it down, but they got in there, they got the door open, and this has just been revealed. 16 trillion. Okay? You know, they're in there worried about a $808 billion bailout for the banks. They just, I mean, does this not blow your minds? $16 trillion they secretly gave, and it's probably more than that. Anyway, I'm going to shut up because I could just go on and on about all sorts of things. However, we need to be the media because you know what? You didn't hear a word of this on TV. Did you see it on Channel 5? Channel 10? Channel 12? How about the Mail Tribune? What'd you hear? We need to be the media. So any way that you can do that, get out there and do it. And please encourage your friends to come to Occupy, Ashland, OregonSpelledOut.org, because there you will find articles of truth, you will find petitions, and you can write your own editorials and send them in. We have free speech on this site. We are the media. Please come there. Please tell people about it. Thank you.
There's a little footnote to the to the money that the government gave the banks, and that's that the banks get to lend it back to the government at 2% interest. So that ought to make us all even more happy.
My name is Don. I'm here in Ashland. There's one thing I just wanted to encourage all of us to do is to occupy our hearts, and that you know, in addition to going out in the world and creating change, but going inward and contacting that love in our hearts and that God consciousness in our hearts. And when we do that and take that out into the world, that changes everything. So when you couple that with active change, you really have a dynamic force. So I would just encourage everyone to occupy your heart.
Does anyone else have a burning desire to speak a few words? Of course.
For some of you that heard me talk before, you probably heard this, but I just want to say something to give. This is kind of what drives me to do all of this. When everything else fails, when human rights and human suffering maybe aren't quite doing it for me, there's an inherent violence to the system. A lot of the luxuries that we enjoy are built off the sweat and sometimes blood of other people and human beings around the earth. So I was in the Army from 2008 to 2010 in Special Ops, and I've seen, we have, did that just go out?
No, it's just too loud. Go ahead.
Okay. We have troops in a lot of different countries all over the world right now that are killing people every day. And if they're not killing people, they're training paramilitary groups to kill people. Places like the Congo, Ethiopia, Sudan, Pakistan, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Colombia, to name a few, just a very few. United Arab Emirates, Yemen, Oman, Bahrain, Qatar. There are people that are dying every day because of what we do here, because of the system that we have in place. And so when all else fails to give me inspiration to try to change it, when I have nothing else to wake up for in the morning, I remember those people. And I remember that they have families, they have mothers and fathers and children and siblings, and they're dying and they're dead and they're being killed and they're being killed. As we speak, I believe today you know, at least 100, if not thousands of people died because of the system that we have in place. So it is on us to help them. They can't do it on their own. Egypt won't have a real revolution if we don't stop installing their dictators and backing their military governments. We have to stop it here, or those people are going to continue to die. Not to mention our own rights and our own deaths and our own illegal imprisonment and the arrest of more than 4,000 peaceful protesters since the beginning of this Occupy movement. If that's not enough, which sometimes for me is just not enough, I remember the people that are dying out there, and I try to do what I can to stop that from happening. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, if no one else wants to speak, gee, I just saw one of our musicians leave, darn it. I was hoping there would be... Urban, come play. Did you hear me? Anyway, I think maybe now we'll end the formal portion of this program, and feel free to hang out. I can even get you more garlic bread. But if I could also thank you to Greenleaf, to Gorilla Bites, to the co-op for donating the food. Thank you to Carol and the other speakers, Dave Lefkowitz, Joyce. Thank you, Carol Voisin, for being here. I hope I'm not leaving anybody out. So, if you could help fold chairs or put them away, or feel free to hang out for a little while and create community. And have a beautiful weekend. It's been a pleasure. Till next time.
Thank you, John!
Welcome.